I'm trying to read it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to see everyone here this evening. And I'm not going to assume that everyone knows who I am. I am Robert Marcus, and I'm the brother of our guest presenter this evening, who is my sister Patricia Marcus Johnson. And I would just say, as a way of introducing her, her presentation will be in 3 parts. The first part will talk about experiences she had prior to Auburn High School High, and then the integration of the University of Alabama. And let me just say about the presentation that you're going to hear. We've talked about this in the family for many years. Of course, we all know Pat, what she did, and the kinds of sacrifices that she made to do that integration. We actually did a Zoom for the family. It's family only Zoom about 4 years ago. But there's never been a time we asked Pat to speak in public. Now, if you knew all of us, there was 7 siblings in the family. And I think out of all of them, I don't know if she might be saying this, she may be the one that's on the most quiet side. I can't be quiet, not as much as Pat, but she's going to talk about her experiences today to let you know her point of view and how she viewed the things that she went through for those years from 1963 to 68, I believe. Okay, so she will start by telling you about those things that motivated her, got her prepared rather to be ready to do the integration of West End High School.
So now I had no idea what he wanted me to talk about. So bear with me and I will see if I can fulfill his desire. In 1963 was a changing point in my life. There was a uniqueness about Birmingham together all over the city. So when the question of desegregating the schools came around, there was no question about who was eligible to go to the school because they lived 2 blocks away. The school that I attended was a little further, so my parents drove, there were 2 of us in attendance there, Josephine Powell and myself, and my father and youngest of my brothers would drive me to school every day. And every day for the whole year, we were met with slurs of racism, and I hate to even think about it because it was totally alien to my beliefs. But I survived. I survived because of one, I had a very good relationship with my pastor and my church. And they were supportive of what I was doing. Second, I had a very supportive family. uh, my father was of the opinion that if he wanted to do it, he was gonna do what he had to do to make it happen. His mom said no. And mom was the only one that wasn't or had a flexible schedule so that when the office was open, she could take me down. My father got off work too late. And she watched him several days struggle to get home, get bathed, to try and take me down to the school board, because you had to go to the school board, everything changed. Had to go to the school board to put in the request for the change of schools that year. But my father tried several times to get home in time to do it. He just didn't make it. So she saw that I was determined, and mom broke down and carried me down to transfer from school. I probably, even if you look in news about Birmingham today, the school that they talk about is West End High School. That's where I attended. It was probably one of the most racist settings in the city. And I have my theories why that was, but it was. I went through a whole year where no one spoke to me. Not a couple of months, and then the whole school. President Kennedy was assassinated that November. And I was in class and the bell rang and I was bombarded with, your daddy's dead, your daddy's dead. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Daddy's dead. He's at home. But they were referring to the assassination of President Kennedy. Now, I never viewed him as my father or my savior. I viewed him as an individual who took responsibility for his position in life. I managed to go through that year, graduate. Now, usually when they had activities that I would attend, nobody else came. And I was curious to see what they were going to do for graduation. Well, they had two. The one that I attended, and then they had one for the other students at a facility, not a school. So till the very end, I had to make it on my own. But I was prepared for that. First by my family, second by my church family. And they both offered support. I'm a little emotional now because I thinking back over some of this, trying to weed out what I should say and not say. But it was a position in life that wasn't for everybody. It was for me. In that God gave me the temperament to ignore comments and remarks that were not relevant to me. And when I say not relevant, they said it, but that didn't make a hit. I managed to make it through that whole year. And I was curious about graduation. And guess what, John? I didn't have one. Because they didn't have any way to do it without including. And they couldn't take graduation to the churches that they had taken anything else. To the very meeting, they held up to their racism. And that's all I will say about that now. I'm sitting in front of a beautiful audience today of people. And that's what we have to become. People. We care about each other. We make sacrifices when necessary. And who acknowledge the existence of their brothers and sisters of all races. Well, I almost said something that was exactly true. I almost said that I'm really glad that my grandchildren don't have the same road to travel that I did. That's not really true. If you aren't teaching them that Black is beautiful, that you are proud of who you are, and that everybody is a lovable person, we haven't done anything. So I look at my little baby's hospital, and I love it. And I am always happy to be around children and to help direct them in what I perceive as the right way to live. Because we have too many who are out there on their own. And if their birth parents don't give it to them, it's up to us. It's up to us. I guess I just adopt anybody. Because I love them all. I hadn't really thought about this in a long time. It brings back some memories. Some good, some not so good. But they were necessary. We wouldn't be where we are today had I and the students with me not taken that step and attended schools that were predominantly white. And I'm gonna tell you, some days I get very angry with you students. Cause I work in the school system. And when I go into the buildings and the classrooms, I see you clowning, talking back to the teacher, and doing all kind of other things I'll say. You don't know who struggled to get you that seat you sitting in. And you need to be thankful that you had it. But some days I want to take a bet, just go down the hall, go in the classroom, because that's loud, talking back, talking over the teacher. You can't learn if she can't teach. And she cannot teach when you are being destructive. Think about that next time you decide to talk out in class. How can I learn if she cannot teach? Ask yourself that question. Well, I'm happy to have been with you all today. I hope you're enjoying your dinner and events that they have prepared for you. I have enjoyed being here. Thank you.
Like, a couple of points I want Pat to address. And because I was home part of the time, that was a theme spoken to me. And what my father said about when they started the integration movement in Birmingham, I think Pastor Cooper could probably relate to this. He said that was a team of pastors in Birmingham that came to his house and said to him that we looked at the students at home. School I went to, the good black school that I went to. And said, we have observed that your daughter could do very well at West End High. And of course, after he and the other ministers talked to my father, what Pat was referring to earlier, he agreed that she can be a part of the integration program. So that says a lot about the support that Pat had from the community, from the church he went to, which we call Ian Ridge. I'm thinking part of the reason why I'm here, because it was called the United Methodist Church. Yes, when I left Alabama, because they integrated the Methodist Church. So it wasn't just called Methodist, but the United Methodist Church. But that gave, I know my father, and I'm pretty sure Pat, confidence in believing there was support behind what she was doing. And she was not just out there all by herself. And I think that maybe what we had talked about in terms of the preparation, but I know that there were some teachers at Owen. I can tell you stories about my experiences at Owen. They prepared me to go on to college and to graduate school. And I know there's some that you can mention about either Owen High and then the academic experiences that she had at the University of Alabama.
Is trying not to make it personal, but you just insist. Not all blacks wanted integration. And some of my teachers was from that group of people. They didn't, let's say, necessarily discouraged me, but they didn't encourage me. We have some of those people still around, maybe sitting in this room. But I believe if you can't be part of the solution, shut your mouth. Because the progress of our people depends on the movement and the support it has. So if you can't say in a positive, if you have young people who making strides, shut up. They don't need to hear that. And I'm saying that because I wanted to tell a few people to shut up. But see, when I was a teenager, you didn't talk to a joke the way they do now. But we couldn't tell them to shut up, be quiet, don't talk, I ain't thinking about what you're saying. We couldn't do it. And there was some merit in that. We have kids now who don't know when to be quiet at all. And they say too much in the wrong place at the wrong time. You wonder why you get fired. But you were in the period running your church and telling her how Miss So-and-so ain't really good. And she heard you. And what did she do? Go write you up? You let me go out there, knocking on the door. Trying to get in. You get out of that. It takes all of us working together to solve the problems of the day. That white, purple, green. It takes everybody.
The last part of our discussion pertaining to the University of Alabama. And I would just say that from talking to my father, he told me about some of the experiences that he encountered when he took Pat down to the university. And to make a long story short, I really think on the whole, the environment at the University of Alabama may have been, I think it was a little better than what at West End High. My father always told me the story about when he took Pat the first time down to the university. When he drove her down to the university, and when he stopped on campus, some students came up to the car and said, "Are you Reverend Marcus?" He said, "Yes, I am." Said, "Is that your daughter that you have?" Said, "Yes, it is." So you can stay in the car, you don't have to get out. We would take her to her room and we want to take care of her. He said, "This is the University of Alabama, not the University of George Wallace." And so my father felt a lot more comfortable in leaving her there. And I will say that because there are some of my family members, they wonder why I do root for the University of Alabama when they play football. Because experiences that Pat had there were, I mean, college is tough. I mean, you have to first get past the academic curriculum, and then you can think about having fun. So she handled the first part really well. And then as a result, a good experience at the, so I do root for the University of Alabama, not just because I'm from Birmingham, but because Pat had a good experience there. And she told me some things about her interactions with some of the football players. You want to tell them about that?
I was sharing some of my experiences with them. And the contrast between the University of Alabama and Western High School was night and day. Now, I'm not saying that I was had a record on it, but I was treated like a student. And the staff from the janitors and dormitories and facilities through the directors all treated us with the expected behaviors. Did all of them like me? Did they let me know they didn't like me? Yes. But they did not overtly put things in my way or damage me directly. And you have to know what to be upset about. You can't get upset about every little thing that is said or done. I would get to the post office and sometimes they have notes taped on my mailbox, sock, chicken, and put it in trash. Cause that's where it belongs. But thank God I had family, I had church family that made me feel whole. They made me feel loved. And that was what I needed more than anything else.
You know I'm gonna do it. I brought that up because it's something I will never forget. I came home at the end of my sophomore year when I was at UCLA. Came back to Birmingham. And during the Christmas of 68, we were sitting down watching football. Pat, one of the two brothers. I don't think my baby sister was back because when she went out to California, she didn't come back as much as I did. Now, me and my brothers, I think I told the church I had a brother 1 year older than I am, once he's passed. I had another brother 1 year younger than I am. We lost him 5 or 6 years ago. But the three of us, every Sunday, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, whatever time, we would watch football together. Now, when we would watch football, Reverend, I'm not as bad as I used to be. Oh, we used to root for both teams. Oh, we did. Because we would root for the player with the darker color. Whatever, I mean, but that's what we did. I was not the best person in the world, man. But we did, we would look for the black players. Now, while I'm sitting there at Christmas, and my brothers watching the football game, and the University of Alabama was playing a championship game against somebody. They were behind, which disturbed the Pat a little bit. And she said, well, we wouldn't be behind if our quarterback was in the game. He's hurt, and if he was playing, we would not be behind. So we said, because at that time, they didn't have any black players. They hadn't realized how good we were, so they didn't have any. So I'm thinking, I said, Herschel and Cheryl, my two brothers, Herschel and Cheryl, should have had Pat on Sundays watch football with us, so he could show how to root. So finally, after halftime, they had this player, they helped walk onto the field. And then I looked up and here this guy zip scored a touchdown. And Pat says, well, I knew we wouldn't be behind if Joe was in the game. I'm thinking, Joe, who is Joe? Later I found out who Joe was. Joe really named and oh yes. And so at that time, I always remember her saying, they wouldn't be behind if Joe was in the game. And I kept that name in my mind. And as I began to watch more of the University of Alabama, now I didn't watch it just because Pat went to the university. I'm saying this guy, Joe, was yes, he was. He was a wild. So, but the point is, that was part of, you might say, her love for the university. And in a way, I got some love from the university back to her. And it spilled over to me, which is why I root for the University of Alabama even now. So I think if Pat would add anything else, you pretty much gone through the two schools that you did integration on.
I know that part of it, where you're hearing about it and the school where it's not.
Well, what I said earlier was that he came to my father's house and there was a team of ministers. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I don't know. Okay, I know Fred Shuttlesworth, one of the other ministers. He was a very famous worker pastor in Birmingham. Now, we also know that in 1963, that we also had that letter from the Birmingham jail that was written, yes, that Martin Luther King wrote, that showed his involvement in civil rights in Birmingham, they're very much involved. So having that team of ministers to come by and talk to my father, like I said, he was a pastor too. So it wasn't just to talk about religion when they came by. They talked about civil rights in Birmingham because they were deeply involved in it. And of course, that gave my father confidence in knowing that if he would allow his daughter to be a part of his integration movement, she had some strong support. Any other questions anyone may have? Yes, he did. I have a couch in my home, and yes, and he would tell me. He says, Martin Luther King came with a team of ministers and sat in our living room on that couch, pointed to the couch that was in our living room. So I still have it, and no matter what she says, I'm not going to get rid of it. I've always been, if I had to take it with me, I'll try to take it. I'll try it, but it will be with me until the day Yeah, until that day. Any other questions? Okay, well then, thank you very much.
Thank you, and you all have a